Yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski, and welcome back to a giant sun in my face, the PokeMMO Touch Grass Initiative. Welcome back for episode 3, where I'm challenging myself and the PokeMMO community to walk at least 5,000 steps every single day while making massive progress in the game that we all love and teaching new players how to jump into the game, make progress, get through your first storyline, get the resources and important tools you'll need to then develop the base elements of an account and make good strides in PokeMMO. Let's jump into it and get our steps in.
And we did it, dude. Day 5 of the challenge complete. I know this might not seem like a lot to all of you, but this really is a lot to me. Once again, my steps prior to this challenge were absolutely catastrophic. To be honest with you, seasonal depression has been hitting me really hard, and real life has been kicking my butt recently. And a challenge like this has given me the power to remind myself that I have power over my life, and if I can go out and walk 5,000 steps every day and stick to that, that means I'm capable and I can also do other things. And I really hope that that message and that sentiment can also be passed on to you guys. That's the real goal here. Here's another crazy statistic for reference. Last week, I was averaging 1,800 steps a day. That is pitiful. It's awful. And this week, I haven't been walking the whole week, but over the past 5 days, over the 7 days total, I've averaged 4,500 steps, 2,700 more steps on average than last week. And once again, I'm only on day 5 of the challenge. I still have like 2 more days, and I'm going to end up easily averaging 5,000 plus steps throughout the week. What's also beautiful is you can see at the bottom, I reached 108% of my weekly goal because I try to do 5,000 steps a day. That's my goal. I do want to also say, this is kind of a dumb little gripe, but I gotta mention it. I swear I walked like 9,000 steps today and it only logged to 6,000. I walked a route that me and my wife often do that usually gets us 6,000 steps. And by the end of that route, I had 3,600 steps. I don't know if it's because I was blaring music or because my phone was on battery saver. If any of you guys are more active and understand pedometers on your phone a bit better than I do, maybe I'm just, it's a human bias thing. I don't know what happened, but I ended up, it's one of those things, if worst case scenario, I ended up walking a lot more than I needed to for the steps. Oh no, boo-hoo. That's the point of the freaking challenge, dude. Also, a final but important note, I saw this little fella out on the concrete. Don't worry, he was alive and crawling around. I love a cute little caterpillar. All right, but let's jump into what we're all here for. The Elite Four on Patrouski walks. I've spent the time, I've XP trained, I've put in the preparation, and I'm hoping to take on the Elite Four with only 3 Pokemon, really. And you know what? As I'm saying that, I'm honestly lying to myself. I have 3 hours of gameplay today. I have plenty of time. I'm going to go ahead and play it safe and steady, and I am going to go XP train up my Emboar up to the max level cap. I'm also going to spend the rest of the 8,000 Pokeyen that I have on whatever potions and stuff that I can buy. So there's some hyper potions here. I can go ahead and buy 2 of those. I think like 1 more revive. I have 2 baby revives and then 2 max revives. I'm going to go up to 3 baby revives and then probably just spend whatever else I can on hyper potions. Boom. That is almost all of my Pokeyen gone, but well worth it. If we can defeat the Elite Four with these health items and healing items, that's all we need to do. But I'm going to go ahead and start my timer. I have 3 hours on the clock today, and I'm also going to be EV training my Emboar over at this special attack spot in Unova. If you have any special attacking Pokemon, which Emboar can really be mixed in physical and special, and since he's really only going to be my only special attacker on the team, I do want him to have some special attacking damage now that he has access to Flamethrower, his best fire attacking move until like Flare Blitz. You can head down here, and on this little crackled rock area, you can do hordes, and you'll get ×5 hordes of Heatmore, which do give special attack EVs. The only funny thing is I am going to be wasting some attack EVs over into my Crocodile, but at the end of the day, as long as I have max attack EVs, it's mostly fine. I'm not super worried about it. I would love to put some more speed EVs into Crocodile, but there's not a great spot in Unova prior to getting access to the Rapidash spot, which is post Elite Four. So I'm going to go ahead and start EV training and getting my Emboar leveled up as well, and I will see you guys whenever I'm ready to tackle the Elite Four final. Alright, this XP training did take so much longer than I expected. Unfortunately, I got my Emboar up to level 55, but as you can see, it took me almost like 35 minutes. Yeah, that's quite a while, but with Emboar at that level, I feel comfortable enough to try to take on the Elite Four. I also gained a little bit of extra Pokeyen by battling some of the trainers, rebattling them over on Route 10. If you need some extra Pokeyen while heading into the Elite Four for healing items or whatever else you may need, make sure to go ahead and check out some other trainers you might be able to refight. I want to make sure I have some sort of held item on all of my Pokemon if possible. Doesn't need to be anything crazy, but there's a lot of things you can get for really cheap that are really powerful. But I only have 7,000 Pokeyen. Can I afford a Charkle? Sometimes these are cheap, sometimes they go up a little bit more in price, but right now they're 2,300 Pokeyen. That is perfect. I can grab that and then put that over on my Emboar, boosting his fire type attacks by 20%. Do not sleep on these items. 20% is a pretty huge damage boost. A super cheap item that can also get a ton of value on our Gigalith is going to be a Quick Claw. This is going to allow me to do two things. Number one, it allows me to possibly set up my Stealth Rocks ahead of a flinch move. That can be a big problem when you're setting up Stealth Rocks, is if your opponent goes before you and they flinch you on an attack, then you can't set up your rocks. So I could get the Stealth Rocks off before that's an opportunity, or if I get flinched afterwards and I live at 1 HP, I still have a chance to set up the Stealth Rocks again with that Quick Claw. Or if I set up the Stealth Rocks and then I'm at 1 HP afterwards and my opponent doesn't have a flinching move, I have a chance to outspeed and get off a Rock Blast or a Stone Edge or an Explosion for some chip damage. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and pick up a Mystic Water as well, which is going to cost me about 2,000 Pokeyen, and plop that over on our Gyarados to boost his waterfall damage. And I do want to switch out my Dragonite if possible. Right now, this thing is doing nothing in the Elite Four. Yeah, it's a sacrifice switch, but I can't even use a potion or like do something on its turn if I need to. So you know what? I'm going to head over to the GTL and just pick up a random level 51 Zangoose. It's a high-level Pokemon. It's 1,200 Pokeyen. It basically costs nothing. If it can do anything on my team, I'll be happy. Oh, also, my apologies. I actually had my timer off screen for some of those past clips, but it was still running in the background. Do not worry. We're currently at 2 hours and 22 minutes left. But all right. Kings, queens, people of royalty, it is finally that time. It is finally time to take on the PokeMMO Unova Elite Four, my first ever Elite Four on this account. Let's see how much trouble it gives me. Let's see if our preparation and our over 10,000 hours of game knowledge pays off. I'm going to be leading with my Stealth Rock Pokemon and then looking to set up with either Gyarados or my Crocodile and hopefully sweep from there. Let's jump into it. Wish me all the luck. Our first battle is against Chantal, who is a ghost type trainer, if I recall correctly, which is why we see the Golurk lead here. We flash our Quick Claw, and we should be pretty safe here to go ahead and set up a Stealth Rock. I don't believe the Golurk is going to have any multi-attacking or multi-hitting moves. Things like Icicle Spear, things like, you know, Arm Thrust on our Emboar, or even any flinching moves. Now, we could possibly get a Quick Claw proc here and get off a little bit of chip damage, but it's not going to do anything crazy since he's immune to our explosion and all of our attacks don't really hit that hard, but we still want to try to get off something. Nope, our Gigalith goes down, but that's as expected. He did exactly what we wanted him to do. Now, I think this is the exact kind of trainer where I want to go ahead and head over to my Crocodile and just start sweeping. I think I actually can be faster than this Golurk as well and just do 100% damage, one-shot this Golurk, get a Moxie proc, and as long as I outspeed everything that I need to, we should be golden. Next up, in comes Chandelure. As long as we can outspeed this thing, we will be good. I think a Crunch will take this thing down, and boom, we are 2 for 1 with the Gigalith sacrifice. Jellicent comes in. This is perfect timing for us because this Pokemon actually can be difficult to deal with, but because we're +2 in attack and we have that Stealth Rock chip, I cannot recommend enough. That Stealth Rock chip damage, getting Chandelure down to 75% HP, there's a good chance that we don't quite one-shot there without that. Crawfordrigus comes in. Very tanky Pokemon. Going to take a little bit of chip damage from the Stealth Rock, and we also have +3 attack. We might one-shot this extremely tanky Pokemon, and we do. That's ridiculous. He's going to mummify us, getting rid of our Moxie ability, but it is far too late. We already have +3 attack, and this is going to be this Elite Four member absolutely just soloed by Crocodile. Oh, you can see, we barely, we got the drift taking a boom. That is the first Elite Four member. Chantel just absolutely obliterated. Looked like a cakewalk due to our preparation and analyzation before the fight. Now, thankfully, we get fully healed and we can head on to the next trainer. This is why that Stealth Rock lead is so strong, because you do get healed after every single fight. So there's just no downside to having that sacrifice lead. Next up, Elite Four member number 2 is Grimsley. If I recall correctly, he is the dark type trainer. Now, he is going to have Iron Head here or potentially other flinch effects on my Bisharp. So if I can either dodge the flinch or get the, there it is. That's what I was talking about. I would love to still get rocks up here if possible. If I don't get rocks up, this fight's gonna be very, very difficult. Let's see if my Quick Claw can proc. No Quick Claw proc plus the flinch. Sometimes that's just going to happen. Honestly, if I'm going to end up losing at any point in the Elite Four, it's probably right here. I don't mind that as much. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Gyarados to do one thing. I'm going to get an Intimidate proc off against the Bisharp, which is an absolutely newbie mistake because he has the Defiant ability, raising his attack by +2 in response. Oh, goodness gracious. We made a mistake. Now, I have a few options here. I think I'm going to go ahead and take the sacrifice switch now over to my Smeargle to allow myself to safely switch into my Emboar and then either go for a Flamethrower or a Flame Charge. I have to dig my way out of this hole that I've slightly put myself into. I'm already down 2 Pokemon to 0. I'm going to go for a flame charge, hoping that I can live at least one attack from the Bisharp, and then I can be outspeed him, be faster, and respond with that flamethrower. Flame charge doing 80% though, way more damage than I expected. That is Citrus Berry proc. Yep, Citrus Berry puts up to 44%, but now I should be able to outspeed, and I can throw off a flamethrower. My Emboar is going to put in some work in this Elite Four unexpectedly. Crocodile then comes in. Let's see if this thing is Intimidate or Moxie. It is Intimidate, so our physical attack goes down. I think I'm okay with going ahead and just throwing off a flamethrower here, getting some chip damage, and then letting my Emboar go down. Since this thing is not Moxie, I'm going to end up, just dying here for sure, because he's going to have that stab earthquake. But then this allows me to bring in my Crocodile if I so choose, and then go ahead and start Moxie snowballing against an opposing Crocodile, and I really like that option. So I'm going to go for the earthquake here. He is a rest Crocodile. He outsped me as well, which means he's like EV trained or like Jolly. He has some really weird situation. Resto Chesto as well, so he's full healing. I am able to get off 83%. That insane damage with my wow, that's insane damage. I kind of want to go for a bulldoze here just in case he sleeps again. Yes, because it's still going to do really good damage with the bulldoze, but now it's going to allow me to be faster. So even if he were to instantly wake up, which isn't going to happen here, I can then outspeed and go for the EQ and finish him off. So honestly, this is a fantastic situation. I arguably could like set up a heal, or I could use this turn to do something, but I don't think I need to. I think I'm just going to go ahead and sweep if you don't mind. Next up is Liepard, not a Pokemon I'm particularly worried about. It could go for a fake out here, but I'm kind of just okay with that. I'm just going to tank it. Yeah, it's going to do very little damage. I don't want to switch out. I have my +1 attack. There's just no reason for me not to just go ahead and tank that damage there. Now, Foul Play was a move I was not thinking about, and that, ooh, Dark Gem Foul Play, are you kidding? That did a lot. There's 2 Pokemon left. I still have my Crocodile, even though it's very low HP, and I have my Gyarados in the back. I'm hoping that this is enough. Absol is probably Sucker Punch here, and Sucker Punch probably kills me, but I think I have to just go for it and risk it. Thankfully, we don't see a Sucker Punch. We get a huge kill off, putting myself majority back in the driver's seat, almost guaranteed. Scrafty now comes in. I should be fast for this thing for sure. Doesn't really have much priority. An Earthquake should go ahead and take this thing out, and boom, that is the Elite Four member number 2 defeated. Grimsley is down. I repeat, Grimsley is down. On to Elite Four member number 3, and then we have multiple different fights after this. That's the hardest part of the Unova Elite Four, is after the, actual 4 members, you have to fight not only N, but you also have to fight Getsis. Next up, we need to bully a sleepy girl. All right, we are facing down a Gothitelle, which I'm not too worried about. Honestly, generally a decently weak Pokemon in this Elite Four situation, but can be a niche Pokemon in raids as a heal blocker in PVM and PokeMMO. So we go ahead and get up our Stealth Rocks very, very safely. I can actually tank a few more Thunderbolts if that's what this thing wants to throw at me. And I can like throw off a Stone Edge or a Rock Blast, do a few different things. And then even like after this hit, I can now go for an Explosion. I'm going to go for it here. I get a chance to throw off a Stone Edge. I do end up missing. My Explosion ends up taking out the Gothitelle. What? Gigalith putting in way more work than I expected. I know his base attack is much higher than you'd expect, 135. Thank you for taking out a Pokemon Soldier on the way down. Good shit, Gigalith. I really, really didn't expect that. I'm going to go ahead and just bring in Crocodile here on the blind. It's a little scary, but we get rewarded as Reuniclus comes in. This thing can't really touch me aside from maybe like a Focus Blast that hits me really hard, but we're just gonna go faster than it and crunch it and one-shot it. I'm really shocked we did that much damage. This thing is very, very tanky, and this might be one of the easier trainers we just kind of absolutely obliterate through, because now we can just spam crunch. Sealift does outspeed and gets off a nice Ice Beam, but you can see even before it's gotten off an attack, it's down to 75%. Only 2 more Pokemon left for the sleepy girl, and Metagross comes in, and he is going to get swiftly taken care of with an Earthquake. Thank you very much. We are +3 attack at this point, and we're just unstoppable unless we get outsped. What is the 5th and final Pokemon? Musharna. That's a slow fella. We're also XP training our Zangoose in the meantime, just in case we need it in the future, but it's unlikely we will, and down goes the 3rd member. We are quite literally just speed running the Elite Four at this point. And on to the 4th and final member before the rival fights. Marshall, who I believe is the fighting type trainer. This guy can actually be the toughest one. I probably should have started with him, but hopefully we can still get the job done. We're feeling pretty strong so far. I'm going to go ahead and go for my Stealth Rocks here. I feel like if I'm scared of anything against this Lucario, maybe some sort of setup move like a Swords Dance or a Nasty Plot, but thankfully we don't see that. We just see an Aura Sphere that cannot flinch us. We should be safe to get our Stealth Rock off, and I'm going to go ahead and click like Explosion just in case my Quick Claw procs. Not a single Quick Claw proc so far, but that's okay. We're just saving the RNG for later. Gigalith goes down after doing his job, of course. We can go ahead and either bring in Gyarados, which this Lucario is throwing off special attacks. I don't think Gyarados is the play here. I like the idea of going Emboar here. I know it's a weaker Pokemon on my team, but he can go for a Flame Charge here, do really decent damage, become faster in the next attack, go for a Flamethrower. I can tank a Psychic well enough there, and Flame Charge is going to almost one-shot Lucario anyway. That was a crit. I don't know if that mattered. I mean, I'll take the extra damage, I guess. I'm just going to go for a second Flame Charge since now I should be faster. I'll get an extra speed boost on top of it. Lucario goes down, and now it is a 5v4. In comes Throw, a strange Pokemon, but one that I've always loved. I'm going to go for a Flamethrower and just try to get off as much chip damage as possible before bringing in my Crocodile to start Moxie sweeping. There is Storm Throw, a weird move that I believe it always crits, but it's also sometimes like it's a slow move, but Throw is just a slow Pokemon. In comes another Flamethrower, though, taking out Throw. And then in comes his brother Sock, who still gives me PTSD because of so many D's Nuts jokes in my Twitch chat. But I'm going to ignore that fact and just go ahead and throw off a big Flamethrower. I think killing him? What the hell? That's insane. But I will happily take it. In comes Conkeldurr, a very tanky, very powerful Pokemon. I'm going to go for a Flamethrower for some chip damage, which definitely will not kill him, and I'll have to bring in something afterwards to take care of him, or he will just go for a Mach Punch and clear me out before I can do anything, while also getting his Flame Orb off, which will now boost his damage because he's most likely the Guts ability. There's also an extremely high chance this thing has Thunder Punch. So there's a good question of, I never Dragon Dance here. I either go for a Waterfall and try to get some chip damage off, or I could arguably switch over to my Crocodile if I'm feeling really frisky and want to go to catch that Thunder Punch on a ground type Pokemon and maybe switch back into my Gyarados to go for Intimidate switches. But I'm just going to go for the guaranteed, the safe play of the Waterfall. I have flinch chance here. He could miss his Stone Edge because he's bad at the game just like that, and we are talented and lucky, and I could go for a second Waterfall, taking him out. The fact that Gyarados is just so powerful on his own, the fact that you don't even need to set up Dragon Dances, yes, it is nice, but you don't even have to, is just ridiculous. I do get flinched by a Rock Slide there. I think that's honestly my karma coming back into play. Arguably, I should set up a Dragon Dance here because it will make me faster than him, which is pretty darn relevant, but we can just get a Waterfall damage off anyway, and I believe KO the Mienshao. That's the 4 members down onto the next 2 rival fights. Now, there is a lot of pretty visuals here and also a lot of yapping, and I'm probably going to skip most of that for you guys, and I'll just see you guys once we get to the fights. Now, it is important to note that we're about to catch Zekrom in PokeMMO, and whenever you do that, he replaces the final, last slotted Pokemon in your party, so I want my last slotted Pokemon to be my weakest Pokemon, so I'm going to go ahead and move my Smeargle there, and then that will give me the Zekrom to use in the future fights of the next 2 rival fights. But we finally made it. First, we take on N, and then Getsis after. And here comes N's nerdy dragon of choice, aka the dumb little nerd Reshiram. Reshiram is a loser and gets no bitches. And then comes our dragon, who is much cooler, has way bigger biceps, and gets way more girls. We are, of course, talking about the one and only Zekrom. But first, we do have to capture him before we can utilize him. And our fight begins. Now, there is no reason to set up Stealth Rocks against him since he, isn't going to switch around. There's no chip damage to be had. I believe if you also kill Zekrom, you have to do the fight over again, which is really annoying. So you want to do enough damage without killing him to put him in a nice capture range. Now, Gigalith actually is really tanky and can lead into this fight pretty darn well. I'm going to try to do, once again, a little bit of chip damage with some of my rock types attacks without actually killing him. Stone Edge doing 42% feels pretty darn good. Put him in yellow HP range. But this is where things get a little bit tricky. If I do any attacks here, it's actually going to kill the Zekrom. So I'm just going to set up Stealth Rocks, even though it does nothing here. I'm doing that on purpose to basically kill a turn. And then down goes my Gigalith, but that's okay. I believe we are healed after this fight is over. I'm going to go ahead and go my Smeargle here, just in the off chance that I actually can get off a Spore. I kind of doubt it. I think he's either going to outspeed and kill me. Yeah, I had to go for it. It was my best shot, but you know what? That was probably never going to work. Now, I want to go into something like, I guess my Gyarados getting Intimidate off. That should help a little bit, but he's going to Volt Switch me here and OKO me. Honestly, I'd rather have a double Intimidate. Since the Volt Switch is so predictable, I can actually safely go over to my Crocodile here, and I want to just start throwing Pokeballs here as soon as possible. I kind of wish that I would have bought a few more Pokeballs before this fight. As you can see, I only have 5 Ultra Balls and not a whole lot else going on. I'd love to strength this, but I think it would kill it is my other concern. I really don't want to kill this thing once again. I just want to be able to do enough damage. If I can stall until turn 11, I can start throwing the one timer ball that I have, and that will be beneficial. I'm going to start things off with a few ultra balls and hope for the best. It is not a guaranteed catch, but the catch rate is much higher than that of a normal legendary, if I recall correctly. There we go. That catch rate once again being shown off. That was only our second ultra ball. That was not too bad at all. And Zekrom bumps our Smeargle out of our party. The main problem here is that Zekrom does become our lead Pokemon, and that I don't like at all, because now I can't really safely bring in my Stealth Rock Pokemon. I have to like sacrifice something or wait until my Zekrom goes down before bringing in my rocks. And there's a real question here of would I rather trade my Zekrom as a 1-for-1 against this Reshiram, or should I just sacrifice switch over to my Zangoose? I think I'm going to go ahead and offer the 1-for-1 trade, which is where I go ahead and go for a Dragon Claw. He responds with a big attack in return, and we kind of just end up trading Pokemon essentially. A Dragon Pulse doing 85%. I did 73% of my Dragon Claw. I'm going to go ahead and once again click Dragon Claw here, taking out the Reshiram. But this basically sacrifices my Zekrom, but I'm mostly okay with that. It's not EV trained or anything like that. Or actually, I'm sorry, it's actually 85 across, so it's better than I expected, to be honest with you. Now this Archeops can go ahead and take me down, and once again, I think I'm okay with that situation. He's going to go for a U-turn, which actually leaves me living. And that's going to bring in either his Zorua. One of these is Zorua or Archeops, because you can tell. I think that it's going to be Zorua. I think that's going to be really weird. This might reveal. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my Gigalith and set my Stealth Rocks up now. But this fight is going very easy peasy for me. No, this is the real Archeops. That's so strange. So this is going to be in defeatist range now, which is going to make that Archeops way weaker, which is just fantastic news for me. Now I can go ahead and set up my Stealth Rocks very safely, and then just go ahead and go for like a Rock Blast here. I don't even need to risk the 80% accuracy of Stone Edge. I can go for a 90% accuracy Rock Blast and probably take this thing down. Next up comes in Clink Clang. This can be an awkward Pokemon for my Gigalith. I think I just try to go ahead and go for an explosion and get off whatever damage I can. Gear Grind is going to outspeed me and probably take me down in the process. Yup, there I go. Now I just don't want to bring in my Gyarados here, but anything else that I do is probably fine. I had to double check really quick, but this thing does not have the Levitate ability. That's what I always get paranoid about with electric types. So I'm going to head over to Crocodile and go ahead and go for a big fat Earthquake, which should take this thing down just like that, getting up a Moxie proc and beginning our snowball. And now more and more Pokemon are going to come in. They're going to take huge chip damage from the Stealth Rocks and then hopefully get obliterated by our Crocodile. This Terracosta is actually going to outspeed me. Is this thing Choice Scarf? This is not a very fast Pokemon. I'm very shocked to see that thing outspeed me, but that's why. We learned why. There it is. The Zoroark came back in. I probably could have planned around that a little bit better, but you know what? That's totally okay. We get another kill. We have plenty of Pokemon in the back. Vanillix does not have Levitate, and we might outspeed this, but it should be a little close. It's going to go for an Ice Shard and actually take me out. Wow, that is a priority ice move of physical ones. You don't usually see it on Vanillix. It's usually a special attacker. But that is totally okay. We can actually go ahead and just abuse the fact that we XP trained our Emboar for this exact situation and go ahead and go for a big flat flamethrower, taking it out. It's gonna get a Water Pulse off and do some chip damage though. That is totally okay. Down goes the Vanillix. Only one Pokemon left for N, but we still have the Getsis fight left, which is the toughest fight in my opinion. But we have not used any revives or potions up until this point, and that's kind of ridiculous. I'm going to go for an Arm Thrust here into the Carracosta and just hopefully get some chip damage off. That I only hit twice. That did very little damage. Yeah, I've had really bad Arm Thrust RNG, but that's okay. Down goes our Emboar. We should be able to bring in our Gyarados here. I don't think this thing has access to Water Absorb, so we should be pretty darn safe to go ahead and just spam Waterfall, I believe, into this Pokemon. This thing might have Aqua Jet, so it might be able to take down our Zekrom as well. I'm going to go for Waterfall. We should do decent damage. This thing is Water and Rock. It's going to take neutral damage instead of... It's going to pop off a big fat Stone Edge and actually crit one-shot my Gyarados. This fight just got way scarier. I think my Zangoose is going to carry me to victory. The Zangoose that I just so happened to pick up for 1,500 Pokeyen, I'm going to bring it in, throw off a close combat, and I think it might be enough damage here. Let's see. That 1,200 Pokeyen, 1,200 Pokeyen Pokemon just took me from the jaws of life in this battle. Are you kidding? That's just perfect. That's why you gotta spend your Pokeyen just a little bit to pick up some higher level mons right before this end fight. And now comes the Getsis fight right after, which thankfully we do get healed beforehand, because otherwise that would be a little ridiculous. We do, once again, have to lead Zekrom here with no item or anything like that. I would love to be able to bring in my Gigalith here if possible. We could even Volt Switch into this Electros, even though it's not going to do very much damage, just to set that up. The problem is then our Gigalith will tank an attack and potentially break it sturdy and become a problem. So I'm just going to go for a Dragon Claw here. This thing might Ice Beam me or something like that. It has access to a ton of different moves. Flamethrower is totally fine, and its Life Orb damage is going to take more chip damage from the Life Orb than the Flamethrower is going to do to me. That Life Orb damage chip just put it in range of dying to my Dragon Claw where it wouldn't have previously. Electros, what are you doing, man? Bro had too many Brewskis before this fight. In comes Hydreigon. It could pop off a big Draco Meteor and probably be faster than me, but I'm going to take the risk. We're going to survive a Dragon Pulse and then get off a Dragon Claw, doing a ton of damage there. Now I'm going to go ahead and just let my Zekrom go down here. It's done plenty of work, and then safely bring in my Gigalith to get Stealth Rocks up. I'm trying to focus on this fight, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm kind of thinking about and getting excited about money-making methods on this account. You know, how am I going to do that from scratch? I'm trying to plan out the future, but I still need to finish the current, you know, situation. Let's see if I can get off like an explosion before I go down. I did get my first Quick Claw activation, but it didn't really matter there, but that's totally okay. We still get off our rocks. And, oh, here's a good question. Do I want to bring in my Crocodile here? This thing is most definitely going to outspeed, I think, almost anything that I bring in. It is a pretty darn fast Pokemon. So do I want to get my Crocodile snowballing in this situation, but tank a fair bit of damage in response? Or try to bring in something like my Emboar and go for like a Flame Charge? This is actually an awkward. I could also go Zangoose here. And potentially, I don't think I'm ever outspeeding. This thing is probably EV trained. I think my Crocodile is the best bet. I could also go Gyarados here and set up a Dragon Dance. That might have actually been better than this play. It's also tough because I can't. This thing is Levitate, so I have to click Strength here. But my opponent is going to go for a full Restore, so that's going to put me in a bit of a tighter bind. Ooh, a much tougher situation. I cannot do my... This is a really bad situation, actually. I can't keep strengthening this. That's going to put me way too far behind. I need to either sacrifice switch or just go hard over into my Gyarados and hope for the best. This was a big mistake by me. Not going the Gyarados here was a massive mistake. It's going to put me in a much more tougher situation. Focus Blast comes out, and thankfully we tank it extremely well on Gyarados. I think my best bet here is just go ahead and set up a Dragon Dance or two and hope that I live, which I should be able to do. Gyarados' natural bulk is putting in a ton of work here. Dragon Pulse is going to do 43%. We could set up a D-Dance and Hyper Potion if we need to. I currently am at 37% HP. He does 43% in return. I should be able to outspeed after the Dragon Dance. I'm going to go for the Outrage. If he outspeeds me here, it would have been absolutely catastrophic. But thankfully, we know our numbers. We know our speed calculations when we do outspeed now after the Dragon Dance. Now, Bouffalant comes in. This thing's probably going to tank my Outrage and then go for a Wild Charge. I'm just going to be flat out honest with you guys. My Gyarados is probably dead, but it's going to do a lot of work before it goes down. A Head Charge, a very powerful move that Bouffalant's one of the only mons that really gets access to, for my recollection. Head Charge, huge recoil damage. I'm going to go for Crocodile here, and I can safely go for a big Earthquake here. I might want to look to start throwing off some revives or other healing items here, though, very, very soon. Bouffalant goes down. We get a Moxie proc, and it is Crocodile versus 3 Pokemon remaining. Seismitoad comes in. I'm gonna... Ooh. Do I bank on this thing not one-shotting me? I think it's my only opportunity. I have to go for an Earthquake and hope that I one-shot, which I thankfully do after the Rocks damage. I'm really curious how much that Rocks damage mattered on that very close situation. And then in comes Bisharp, which I should be able to also one-shot. And if I get hit by an Iron Head, I could get flinched. That would be problematic. But thankfully, we outspeed. Are you kidding me? And we get a crit that hopefully / probably didn't matter. It is now Crocodile at +3 attack against the final Pokemon, and it's our friend, our good old classic friend, Cofagrigus. I can throw off a big fat crunch, take the mummy fella down, and then call it a wrap. That is the final Pokemon, final rival fight, and final endgame fight in Unova. Plus 31,000 Pokeyen, 3,500 BP. That is the storyline tackled and taken care of on an account that was locked behind by steps. We're getting healthy. We're getting steps. We're working on ourselves IRL while also working on ourselves in-game. Now comes the exciting stuff. My max obedience level will get boosted to level 100, and we can really start focusing on Pokeyen and money making from scratch, which I think is one of the most interesting elements of PokeMMO, and probably one of the tougher ones right now, and one of the things that most people need help on. PokeMMO is an extremely vast game with an incredibly complicated market. It is very difficult for new players to understand what they should be doing to make some extra yen. And I hope to show you guys that today as clearly as possible, what I would recommend, what I would do if I were in that situation. And as the screen fades to black, it's going to put us back to our hometown, and we will have to actually walk towards the first town before we can actually get back into the action and get a fly Pokemon on us. But now it's officially time to make some Pokeyen. Well, after I go out and watch a movie with my wife, I'm actually about to go watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for the very first time in theaters, and I hope it's a blast. Once again, this series is all about the combination of IRL health and accomplishments and balance alongside our favorite video games. We also unlocked our official encounter counter, which is unlocked after you defeat your first Elite Four. But for now, we pause the timer and go watch a movie. I'll see you guys very soon. All right, we are back and it's time to make some Pokeyen. But first things first, the movie was great. I gave Planes, Trains, and Automobile an 8.8 out of 10 just for anybody watching for my movie takes, which I know is obviously most of you guys. Now, let's go ahead and get into some of the action. Now, let's go ahead and first start our timer. So, first things first, I switched out my Zangoose back into my PC. I won't be needing it for this next section. First things first to address is my Smeargle is level 32. That is under level. I have to fix that because I want to do some catching Pokemon for profit. We only have 39,000 Pokeyen. To make more Pokeyen with that, we have to be very, very careful with how we spend it. So first things first, I'm going to stop saying first things first. We're going to head over to the east of Waplucid City, make our way over to Lucanosa Town. That's going to get us access to the Rapidash Horde training spot, and that way I can properly XP train my Smeargle and get up to a higher level, which will allow me to successfully catch Pokemon back to back. I don't want to be catching something for profit and having to constantly go back to the PC to heal up his HP. Defeating this trainer will give me a little bit of Pokeyen, and it's also going to break my XP cap on my Crocodile, so we'll see what level we get off of that. That could help us defeat some higher level hordes and get more XP, but we're probably going to be pretty safe over at Rapidash, if I were to guess. From level 56 all the way to 67, it's one of the most satisfying things to see in PokeMMO. Look at that XP bar roar. Holy guacamole. And it has a chance to learn Outrage. I'll go ahead and put that over Strength for now. I can always relearn Strength later because it's just an HM, so I don't need to worry about that. Let me go ahead and put an XP share over on my Smeargle before I forget as well, before we do more trainer battles and get some XP on it for free. I don't need this Smeargle to be crazy high level. If I could just get it up to like 50 or so, I feel like I'd be pretty comfortable. All right, we made our way over to a new town. I went ahead and walked inside, got the fly location, and now I can just head to the left, go ahead and rebind my sweet system because we got access to a super raw, which did bump it out of its placement for whatever reason. Head over to the left like so, and we should get pretty decent XP here. I could actually go buy a second XP share, but if you do that, it just splits the XP across all the Pokemon equally, so I wouldn't actually be getting like more XP or being more efficient. If you're EV training, having multiple XP shares is nice, but once again, we just need XP on this thing. It was EV training before we bought it. So we're starting at an hour and 33 minutes left on our clock. Our Smeargle is starting at level 33. I might even pop my lucky egg here, to be honest with you. I've still held that to this point for whatever reason, but you know what? I think I might keep that around for when we try to train our gym rerun team. All right, it only took about 13-14 minutes or so, and we got up to level 50. I think that's good enough to start what I want to work on. Now, what I want to try to go do is catch a specific Pokemon for profit. The problem is I have to make sure I buy enough Pokeballs, but also leave enough money left over to actually be able to list all the Pokemon and take care of those listing fees. Now, the goal is going to be heading back over to Route 4, which I talked about early on throughout the storyline, and being one of the best routes, probably the best route in all of PokeMMO to catch good Pokemon for the storyline run. You see, doing this challenge has taught me and shown me that there is a lack of demand in the market for good storyline Pokemon. It was really hard for me to find any affordable good Pokemon to defeat the storyline with. So I can use that information that I got as a new player to take advantage of and make some Pokeyen and sell to other new players just like myself. Now, using the handy dandy PokeMMO Hub catch calculator, which I've used a lot of my content in the past and definitely recommend, I can see that with a false swiped Spore Sandile, it should be 100% catch rate. With a Pokeball, which is going to save me a bit of Pokeyen. I also want to try to catch maybe some Scraggies. I want to double check their catch rates. Yup, as well as Darumakas. All three of these Pokemon are incredibly powerful. Darumaka's going to be 94% catch rate, but that's plenty to be worth it. These Pokemon are also in a little bit of extra demand right now because I'm in the middle of event season as I'm recording this. So like the Christmas event is coming up and a lot of people still need raid Darumakas. A lot of these Pokemon are going for like really crazy prices. People are, you know, in a rough spot right now and people feel like the market is dead when in my opinion, it's slower in certain instances, but in a lot of ways, you kind of just have to adapt around the market. There's always amazing ways to make money in PokeMMO. You really just have to look out for them. For example, literally any Darmanitan with 20 plus attack and speed is going for like a fair bit of Pokeyen. Some of these haven't sold in a while. There's just not that many on the market, which is what's so shocking. If we look up a 20 plus in attack and speed and like a plus attack nature, which is what's going to be used for raids and storylines and things like that, the cheapest option is 150k. And people aren't buying that because it's ludicrously expensive, but like things like this I can see them selling. It might take a little bit. The problem is I want to make sure I sell it in a decent amount of time. So I'm going to have to underlist some of my stuff just to make sure I get the capital back and get that Pokeyen back to continue the challenge in a reasonable amount of time. But I'm going to go ahead and spend 10,000 Pokeyen. That's going to get me 50 Pokeballs. That is more than enough to hopefully go make some profit and continue the snowball effect. In case you happen to not know, 1x31s also have value in PokeMMO on pretty much any Pokemon on pretty much any stat, although that value has dropped over the past few years, unfortunately, due to some problems in the market, in my opinion, with alpha Pokemon. But I can go ahead and show you guys the species that we're looking for today, though. Look at this. Any Darumaka with 31 attack, the cheapest one is 20,000 Pokeyen. That's ridiculous. Any Darumaka with 31 speed, 20k. I could quick sell these for like 15k. There's some really good opportunities here, but if you're looking for specific aid groups, sometimes they're a lot cheaper right now. If we go to like field aid group and look up 31 speed, it's not gonna, let's look the text up there, it's not gonna be that great. So you do have to check, you know. I think the market has evolved a lot into catching valued species, catching good Pokemon that have good value and have good uses for things like PVM, Darumaka for, you know, Darmanitan for raids, Scraggy for storylines, Crocodile for raids, PVM, the Pumpkin mini boss or the Pumpkin boss during the Halloween event, things like that. You have to, we've kind of adapted into catching valuable species as opposed to just catching any and all Pokemon in specific aid group. So we've got an hour and 13 minutes left to make Pokeyen. Let's see what I can scrape up on a really fresh new account. I'm curious. I'm hopeful. I hope that this is not terrible. I hope that I don't, you know, be all optimistic and then show you guys, you know what, actually you only make like 50,000 Pokeyen an hour. That would be pretty atrocious. I'd love to see if I can make 100 to 150k an hour. 150k plus would be amazing. That would be ideal. Also, there's this new mechanic. I can actually keybind in battle. I can keybind these items. So that's actually a really cool thing to see. Got to get used to that. Did I just glitch it? I think I just bugged it. Whoopsie. But that'll make these battles and these catches a bit quicker. Here's our first Pokemon caught on the journey for profit. Let's see if it's any good. Got a free Rost Berry. 31 HP. I will take it. Not a super valuable stat on a Darumaka, but our first catch being a 31. Are you kidding me? That's going to be worth... Let's go. I think it's in the field aid group. Let's go double check actually. What aid group is Darumaka? And we just caught us having the Pokedex. It is in the field aid group, so it's not going to be that much. I like 3k. I'm going to be honest with you, this is why it's really tough right now. To be fair, like Darumakas you could sell as like a 3k, but this is not going to sell very quickly. People don't really care about HP stat that much on a Darumaka. You really just want that attack and speed. So we'll make a little bit of Pokeyen, but not a great amount. You have to factor in the listing fee, which is 1,000 Pokeyen, and then the cost of the Pokeball. So it's a 1,200 Pokeyen cost per list. And then if you sell it for 3k, you know, you get back, what is that, like around 1,800 Pokeyen. It's not great, but it's something when you're starting out. And here we go. These are the kind of Darumakas you want to look out for. There's no nature, but this is 30 attack, 22 speed. This could go for something. It's not amazing, but once again, you have to kind of adapt to the market. Ooh, this guy just listed. I might try to flip this. Do I really want to flip on this account? I'm going to try. I think that was underlisted. That was a Darumaka that was 20 plus attack, 20 plus speed with Brave Nature. Brave Nature is not ideal, but it's still that plus attack. Someone might be willing to try to utilize that. What did I pay for that? Around 3,000 Pokeyen. Let's go double back and check to see if we can see how much we could possibly sell that for. If I can sell it for like 5k, 6k, that would be fantastic. Let's go see. There's another one for 2k. Ooh, I might not be able to make much of a sale. I might have just made a bad snipe, but that's okay. This is so funny. I feel like I was looking for some Darumakas earlier and I couldn't find anything for these prices, and now there's a few up there for cheap. So it's just one of those timing things. The Pokemon market is quick and brutal, and it's even more brutal when you're a new player. When you make a miss snipe like that, you know, those few thousand Pokeyen, it can be a gut punch. There's no doubt that it is hard to be a new player in PokeMMO right now, but it can be done. You can triumph over that difficulty, and that's what PokeMMO is all about. Ooh, I just got an adamant Darumaka. I would love to see some stat. We don't see any stats on it. 0 speed. I wonder if that just being adamant goes for anything. I don't know. I kind of doubt it. That lacking the speed is pretty brutal. But once again, it's a weird market. You can see this one for like 15k. I don't know if it'll sell for that. I would list this for 10k and see, which is just weird. But like, I would see if it sells. Caught a Scraggy with a ton of really good IVs and the Moxie ability, but it's modest. That's going to be a tough sell. A lot of awkward things here, but if we can just scrape along some Pokeyen and have it sell over a few days, I'll be happy. The only funny thing is on this challenge, the longer that something takes to sell, the more steps I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to keep doing 5k steps every day, even if I'm waiting for sales. Okay, here is a great catch. 31 attack IV Sandile with Lonely Nature. That can do well. All right, we've caught Pokemon for about 40 minutes or so. I'm going to go ahead and stop. This is my last Darumaka. I want to leave myself plenty of time to go price check everything and actually list it off. I should have plenty of time, but just to really be sure, I want to stop on early. And I have to go heal after this catch anyways. I am out of Spore PP on my Smeargle. This last Darumaka came out. It's just kind of fine. I don't know if it'll be worth anything. Let's go try to sell some of these fellas. And I'm going to be focusing on trying to underlist these and just getting them sold quicker rather than later. That speed is going to matter in a challenge like this. And we caught a fair bit of Pokemon in like only 40 minutes or so. Wow. This is going to end up being, let's see, we caught these earlier, I believe, in the storyline. Like 33 Pokemon. That's a really nice pace, honestly. Let's take the Rossberries off as well. And I'm just going to start sorting through off camera and see you guys with some interesting sale. First things first, anything with the Moxie ability, that is going to need to be sold in a different way and be increased in value just because of that ability. I'm going to throw all of these over into a separate box and name that box Moxie for the time being. I'm then going to head down to the bottom left and sort by total IV. This will give me somewhat of an idea as I go through them, you know, how high the IVs are on these Pokemon. This will be the highest IV Pokemon with 116 overall, which is not really anything special at all. And then the lowest IV one is down here at 51. One of the hardest things to acknowledge when you're a new player is that you're going to end up releasing a lot of these Pokemon. They just aren't going to have any value like this Darumaka here. Even though it's my highest IV Pokemon overall, there's just not really a need for it in the market, and making those decisions can be tough. The Sandile with 20 attack and 29 speed, I think can be sold for about 2,000 Pokeyen. It might be up for a little bit, but I think it's still worth selling. We're going to lose 1k to listing fee, but we'll get 1k in return if it sells. I don't love selling Pokemon at that price range because if they don't sell, you're just losing 1,000 Pokeyen. But I think really early on, it's worth it. On my main account, a Pokemon with that low a value would just end up getting released. But then we also have this really nice Sandile that is Lonely Nature. It's not Moxie, which is really relevant, but it is 31 attack and Lonely Nature. And here we go. We are already in the profit because this bad boy is going to go for about 15,000 Pokeyen if we quick sell it. I wonder if this thing is worth like EV training or XP training. That's the next question I want to go ahead and ask myself. If I were to train this thing up to, let's see, Krokorok's level, like 29 would be a level, would be a Krokorok. Let's see what we can get this thing. Maybe like a 35 max obedience level cap, and we'll put this at 29. Let's see. There's not even, let's change it to Krokorok, I guess. Let's do Krokorok. Let's see. 18.5. Is that really worth EV training for that small price bump? I don't think so. I'm going to go ahead and quick sell this thing for a juicy 15k. Which, once again, we literally spent 10k on the Pokeball investment. So that's already a fantastic return when that sells. And we got another 31 attack Sandile, which once again, right now goes for a minimum of 15k. Now, I also want to ask myself, is it worth to try to breed it up? Because if I were to get myself like a female Sandile here or a Ditto, which is actually cheaper, I could buy a Ditto for 7,200, let's do a little bit of math, for 7,200 Pokeyen. And then I'd buy 2 braces. That's 20,000 Pokeyen to buy the 2 braces to make the breed. It would be a 27,200 Pokeyen cost. And then I could potentially sell it for 40,000 Pokeyen. Right now is the cheapest one. If it rolls a good nature, this one's lonely. It only goes for like 48k though. Kind of shocking to see. We could also luckily roll Moxie Nature on it though. These are all hidden ability access as we change. I wonder, that might be worth it. The problem is that it would cost 27,000 of our Pokeyen, and we don't have that. So that's, yeah. And when you're a newer player, you don't have access to, you know, making that higher end Pokeyen. When you're a medium level player, you have some capital, you have some Pokeyen, you could take the time to like build up this Sandile and then make even more money on your catch at the cost of some more time. When you're a new player, I literally don't have the capital. I don't have the Pokeyen to be making risks like that. It is so true, and I always try to admit it whenever possible, that the rich do get richer in PokeMMO. However, the difference is, thankfully, we're all born in Pallet Town, and all of us have a much larger chance of striking it rich in PokeMMO than in real life. PokeMMO is the fairest market you'll ever be handed, so we gotta try to take advantage of it while we can. Although it can be tough when Field Egg Group Pokemon are going for this low of a price on a 1x31 HP, but if that's the price, that's the price. And now this is what we call a freaking gap in the market. Are you kidding me? Darumaka, there's just no adamant Darumakas or Darmanitans on the market. The cheapest one is 13k. Mine has 17 attack, which is like something. I'm hoping someone just buys this for a storyline run, but that is pretty ludicrous. I'm gonna sell this one for 12k, just trying to underlist. Once again, I'm trying to get these sales done quick, hopefully. Ideally, I get this challenge done with before Thanksgiving, because I am telling you guys right now, there is no chance that I get my 5,000 steps in on Thanksgiving. I know I said that if I don't get 5K steps, the challenge is canceled, but you've got to give me a leeway on that day. I'm going to be doing all the cooking and eating a lot. There's no shot. I will be half dead by the afternoon. This lonely Darumaka is not quite cutting it, though. I wonder if I were to like EV train it, if that would make it worthwhile. Let me see if I go ahead and bump its like level up to like 35, where that would put me at. Let's see if I can look by. Still like 3,500 Pokeyen. Still super cheap. They just don't have the stats. Yeah, I'm not going to try to fix this one. All of these mons are going to go ahead and get released. It's a little sad to see, but that's how the cookie crumbles. You know, kind of got to go with it. I could go rebreed them, but that's going to cost me a Pokeball. And at that point, I'd rather just go catch new ones. So this is the tough pill to stomach as a new player in PokeMMO, but sometimes you got to go release a bunch of mons. But thankfully, we still have all these Moxie mons to sell. Make sure on all these Moxie Pokemon to scroll down in your advanced search and scroll down to click has ability Moxie, and then go ahead and search from there. Like this strategy has 20 plus in attack, 20 plus in attack and speed, 25 plus. It's 29 attack, 30 speed. This is a really, really good strategy with that Moxie ability. And it's even got hasty nature. This could be a really, really good storyline strategy. The only awkward thing is this has been up for 10 days. You got to look at that a little bit. I don't want to be sitting on this for that long. So ideally, these are way too cheap though, at 2,000 Pokeyen a pop. These are listed pretty recently as well, but they have those terrible natures. This one is naughty nature at 10K. This one's lonely at 10K. I'm going to try to list this one for around 10K as well and hope it sells. This one might be able to go for like 2K. This is rough, dude. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Catching for profit is in the gutter. It's not a great position to be in as a new player. We have this strategy with 22 plus attack in Moxie, but it's quiet nature. I don't know if I can sell a lot of these. Here's this Jolly one. Gonna try to sell this strategy for like 3K, but that's mostly based on instinct because there's not really any Jolly strategies that are similar to really price check properly. This one has some decent stats and I think could actually sell decently quickly because it also has a really good nature. Impish nature is what you go on some defensive strafties in like the NU PvP tier. So I'm hopeful for this one to bring in 8,800 Pokeyen. And then this Sandile is just a really clean, quick 10 to 13K or so. I probably could honestly go like 17K. I might be willing to wait. You know what? I think I can go ahead and do that. It's just a really clean 31 speed on a Sandile. That's a really good one to see. So there is some hope here. There's a lot of duds you have to sort through. Like I have to go ahead and release all of these. These just don't have any value, even with that Moxie ability. Like this one's just got 2 lowest stats, 11 attack IV, 15 speed. I'm just not going to be able to get anything out of that. It's also going to get released. This one I do want to try to do something with, I believe, and I'll show you what in a quick sec. The Sandile is 17 attack and 28 speed. It's missing nature. That calm nature is actually terrible. It's like almost quite good. And if I can abuse the fact that Pokemon are so cheap on the GTL to make some money, to turn this into a better Sandile worth something, then we could possibly make some nice profit. It's a female Sandile in the field age group. So if I look for a field age group Pokemon with at least 25 plus attack and at least 25 plus speed to keep those stats nice and high, look for a male breeder, and then potentially look for something with like an adamant or naughty, lonely type nature. That's going to be the hard part. Is that going to crank up the breeder price too high? I don't know if it's going to. Let's go check adamant. What I would do here is ooh, this is actually a really good deal as well because the next option is 5K. I think I'm going to go ahead and buy this. I'm going to spend 2,000 Pokeyen on this Zigzagoon. And then I have to go buy an Everstone. And that's the really expensive part here. So I'm spending 7,000 Pokeyen on this breed and hoping it pays off. I also have that Darumaka that I bought that I was going to attempt to flip. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I'll try my best. So we have breeding unlocked because we finished the storyline. We also get all of our egg incubators. So I have my Sandile, right? I have my Sandile, which I don't need to put any item on, which keeps the breed decently cheap. The attack IV needs to at least medium roll. If this low rolls 25% chance, that would be incredibly unlucky. And I'm going to have that adamant nature. I'm going to go ahead and not also pay for the gender because that would be too expensive. If this comes out a 20 plus 20 speed adamant nature Sandile, let's see at the kind of Pokeyen we'd be looking at. I spent 7,000 Pokeyen on the breed. We'd be looking at least 20k Pokeyen. Now if this comes out Moxie nature, which is a 50-50 chance, it would be like 30,000 Pokeyen. So there's some really like interesting potential here for profit, especially if we take the time to put a few EVs in it. And this was something I was looking at. I really like the idea of just trying to breed Sandiles like this and make some crazy profit there. I'm going to go ahead and click breed and go through with it and hope for that Moxie roll. But either way, I should be able to make a decent profit on that. And that might be, you know, once we get out of the, I would love to start making profits like that. But as a new player, you don't have the capital. I can't buy all the breeders. I can't buy all the Eversons. I can't buy all the things that I need because I don't have the basic level of Pokeyen. So we have 11 listings. We only have 15 minutes left. I'm probably going to go ahead and call it there. I might hop around the world here and there and do a few like trainery battles to get some extra Pokeyen within those 14 minutes. But this will probably be the final time that I see you guys for today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed. We made some pretty insane progress in today's episode. Like the video if you did enjoy it. Dislike if not. I want your genuine feedback. Subscribe for daily Pokemon videos every single day. I do upload every single day, even when doing big projects like this. Follow me on Twitch for streams, usually Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. My Discord's down below if you're interested in joining a community of people that love this game. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the content, especially big creative projects like this, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal and Venmo donations allow this to be possible. Thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you for watching, and keep enjoying PokeMMO. I will see you later, I'm sure, but for now, peace, Reno. Okay, well, before I go, I kind of forgot to mention this. This will be a secret meme clip for anybody who watched past the outro. I ended up with 26,000 Pokeyen after just fighting a few random trainers around Unova, which is crazy. I probably should have been doing that a lot more. Just battling random trainers is probably better Pokeyen than catching right now, which is kind of crazy. But I have this Sandile that I was breeding, and I wanted to go ahead and list that off. I couldn't just leave you guys without that sale. So it did medium roll the attack. So that is amazing. This Sandile is going to be 20 plus attack, 20 plus speed, adamant nature. I didn't even check the ability. Did it come out Moxie or not? That's okay. It didn't, but it's still worth a nice amount of Pokeyen, even though it didn't come out Moxie. That's totally fine. It's still going to be a nice, I think 19k. I wonder if I go, you know what? I'm going to go spend the final 4 minutes. I'm going to go XP train it over at Bouffalont. I'm going to put the XP share onto it just to get its levels up a little bit, and then I'll sell it. And I think it'll just, I'm not increasing the price, but it's going to increase the speed of the sale. People don't want a level 1 Sandile to do the storyline. That is way too low level. They want something that's kind of like level 20, level 30-ish to help them push through those early gyms. Usually either like level 20 and below if they want it for like the next region, like a second or third region, or if it's their first region, they probably want it to be like level 35 or so. Once again, when you're a new player, you can actually use, you're at an advantage to some extent. You can use your new player experience to ask yourself, what did I need? What did I need throughout the storyline? What made it so hard for me? How could I make that easier on other people? And how much would they be willing to pay for it? All right, but that was our last tour. We're going to send out up to level 20 and about 30 attack EVs on it. I think getting it up to this level will help it sell so much faster. And with only 11 seconds left, I'm going to go ahead and list this bad boy for 20k and hope it sells okay. But this time, also something already sold for 17,000 Pokeyen par. I'll see you guys later this time. Bye for real. Peace. Yo, what's up? Outro Patrouski here, and I wanted to take this time to say thank you to everyone who goes above and beyond and supports my channel. Your names are all listed here. You make it possible for me to make helpful and mildly entertaining content for the game that I love and make it available for free for everyone to enjoy. Thank you so much for allowing me to even be here.